You know, anytime you read a blog, flip through a magazine, or even just scroll through your social media feed, you're tapping into the legacy of a man you've probably never heard of, Richard Steele. Today, we're going to dig into how this 18th century pioneer didn't just write stories. He literally created the blueprint for all modern media.
Seriously, just pause and think about that for a second. In a world without a constant fire hose of information, where would you even go for advice on, well, how to be a person, how to handle yourself, what's right, what's wrong? For a long time, the answer wasn't really a who, until it was. And here's our guy, Richard Steele. See, he had this incredible insight. He noticed a whole new group of people emerging in London. We're not talking about the old money aristocrats, but this rising middle class, merchants, clerks, professionals. These folks had a little money to spend and a real hunger for culture, but nobody was speaking directly to them. Steele was about to change all of that.
Okay, so Steele's first stroke of genius wasn't just what he wrote about, but how he got it to people. He invented an entirely new format for public conversation, one that, honestly, we'd totally take for granted today.
And look, this wasn't just about selling papers. Steele was on a mission to actually reshape public life. He had this brilliant idea that you could blend entertainment with education, weaving big conversations about ethics and being a good person right into someone's daily coffee routine.
And man, this guy moved fast. In 1709, bam, he launches the Tatler, which was one of the very first publications of its kind in England. Then, get this, just 2 years later, he follows that up with a daily sensation called the Spectator. He was essentially building the modern magazine from the ground up, in real time.
What's so smart is that he gave each paper a totally different vibe. Think of the Tatler as your witty, kind of gossipy friend who knew all the London hotspots. It was direct and fun. But the Spectator, which he started with his friend Joseph Addison, was deeper, more reflective. He created this persona, Mr. Spectator, a quiet observer of humanity, exploring these huge, timeless ideas like friendship and integrity.
His formula was absolutely revolutionary. He wrote like a normal person, not some stuffy academic. He mixed sharp humor with real wisdom, tackling big issues, but also just talking about the importance of being kind. And this is crucial, he made his readers feel like they were all part of one big conversation. Sound familiar?
This quote just nails it. Steele understood you can't just preach at people, it never works. You have to engage them, make them laugh, and get them thinking. For him, humor wasn't just for a quick joke, it was his secret weapon for delivering some pretty serious ideas.
But Steele wasn't content to just stay on the page. Oh no, he took his mission to shape public morality to the other huge mass medium of his day, the theater.
See, back then, a lot of plays were pretty crude. Steele wanted to change that. He helped pioneer this new genre called sentimental comedy, which was all about making the audience feel something, not just laugh. His plays were designed to explore real human problems and ultimately promote virtue. He wrote a bunch of popular plays, but if you look at these three in particular, you can really track his evolving vision for how theater could actually change society.
Take his early play, The Lying Lover. It perfectly shows his method. On the surface, it's a hilarious comedy about all the chaotic situations that happen when a guy just can't stop lying. But underneath all that humor, Steele was landing a powerful message. Sincerity is the only real foundation for love. A year later, with The Tender Husband, he dives into the messy reality of marriage. Through all this clever, witty dialogue, he gets past the simple fairy tale stuff and explores what really makes a partnership work: trust, communication, and real understanding. But his masterpiece, the one people really remember, is The Conscious Lovers. With this play, he took a huge swing at the rigid class structure of his time. He made the radical argument that a person's character matters way more than their social rank. That was a revolutionary idea, and he wrapped it in an emotional, entertaining story that audiences just adored. So, when you put it all together, what's Steele's real legacy? How did this one guy, writing with a quill pen 300 years ago, manage to create the very blueprint for our entire media world? Well, you can really break it down into these 4 steps. He invented the format, he found an audience no one else was talking to, he perfected that mix of entertainment and purpose, and he developed a voice that was just so accessible. I mean, that is the exact model used by the best magazines, blogs, and educational channels today.
His impact was just enormous. He made the essay a major literary form, he redefined what comedy could do, and he fundamentally changed journalism. But maybe his most important legacy was proving that media isn't just a distraction. It's one of the most powerful tools we have for shaping what we value as a society.
And that brings us to one last big question. Steele truly believed that media could be a force for good, for compassion and civic responsibility. Looking at our media landscape today, with all of its incredible power and noise, you kind of have to ask yourself, has his invention lived up to its promise? Definitely something to think about.